Jeff Sneider has more to say.
James Gunn. I love how he's like, well, we haven't even closed the deal with James Watkins, so we haven't even talked about casting. We don't do that here. We wait until deals are closed with directors and then we talk about casting. Except for one of the two movies that we've cast, Supergirl, which had an actress before it had a director.
That's true.
So James Gunn, I mean, it's just like everything out of this guy's mouth, I can poke a hole in it. And it's not because I'm so good. And again, I was talking with Jamie about this. It's not because we're so good at poking holes in it. Right. It's because he's just so bad at like boxing himself into answers that he does not need to give. Okay, there was absolutely no need to even address the Daniel Radcliffe thing. Okay,
right.
Actions speaking out of the words. Cast somebody else.
Yeah.
But like, what happens if you offer it and the next 40 guys pass on it, and you're now at offer number 41, and that's Daniel Radcliffe, and you need Daniel Radcliffe, but now you're on record to say, oh, he's great, but we haven't even thought about it, haven't even considered. You haven't considered him? First of all, this is bullshit. The idea that he hasn't had a conversation about casting as if James Watkins, like, what is he even going in there to pitch?
Right.
I mean, the script is done. So, the idea that they didn't talk about casting, and James isn't like, well, looking back on my career, who do I have a relationship? Who trusts me?
Yeah.
The whole thing is just fucking absurd. Now bring up I'm gonna reveal the other name that I heard for Clayface.
Well, first let's bring up what he said. So this is what he said. As we confirmed the other deal, we're closing a deal with James to direct because we don't have a director yet. We haven't even started the casting process. Daniel is great, but we certainly haven't talked to or considered him, so this one is 100%.
It's buffering. We'll get there. It's buffering.
False. Jeff, I find that hard to believe because he said in the press conference himself that he has been, he has talked to a lot of people, and just because they talked to him doesn't mean they're going to do it. Now he's saying that they haven't talked to him at all.
It's a name, like, again, guys, if you want to hear this shit, that's what I'm here for. If you don't want to hear it,
Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most to stars, your girlfriends and your wives. A very warm welcome to this Saturday's edition of the DCU Daily. You can follow me on X, Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X, on TikTok Mad Mickey's World, and on Snapchat Mick, your host with the most. So let's get down to it. So Jeff Sneider isn't a happy bunny. What you got to remember about Jeff Sneider, who's one of the voices you heard on that audio, he's been a scooper for many, many years. He understands the inside track of the movie process, of making a movie, marketing a movie. He's seen this before. He's seen many, many directors market a movie. They've seen many, many studios market a movie. And like all of us, he's bedazzled, amazed, and confused by the nonsense that comes out of James Gunn's mouth. First of all, do you remember when James Gunn was first appointed co-CEO of DC Studios? We had this reputation of him where no leaks come out about his castings, that he keeps everything in-house. He certainly did while making his Guardians movies and his Suicide Squad movie. But here, there have been so many leaks, and I must tell you this, I believe the leaks are coming from him. He believes this is good hype. But from the very beginning, I've been saying what Jeff has said. I was one of the first people to call out Gunn on what Jeff is calling him out on here. If you're a faithful viewer of my videos, you know what I've been saying. I said, James, stop with the comic book panel teases, comic book panels that you have no intention of adapting. And every day he had to come out and goes, look, just because I posted a comic book panel, it doesn't mean I'm adapting the actual comic in a movie. Ridiculous, because he was teasing and teasing and teasing, But also, while he was teasing, he was confusing people. Now, the thing about the Clayface situation is that Jeff Sneider is pretty much saying, not blatantly, that Daniel Radcliffe has been approached. So why, if this is true, has James Gunn came out to deny it? And I think this is what it's about. This is why Jeff's so angry. Because Jeff revealed this, and I nearly said Snyder. No, not Zack Snyder, James Gunn. James Gunn then denied that he's even been approached, because apparently they don't do casting before they've got a director. But Jeff has exposed him by saying, well, you cast Millie Alcock as Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, before you even brought in a director for that movie. So that, my friend, isn't true. He's being exposed by this guy, Jeff Sneider, left, right, and centre. He's triggered Jeff Sneider because Jeff Snyder's been protecting him, holding back negative information from us, the public, while James Gunn is blatantly lying about something that Jeff has revealed, and, Gunn is denying it. So why wouldn't Gunn want us to know that he's approached Daniel Radcliffe? Daniel Radcliffe is a very private person. He's comfortable within his own company. He's not interested in social media. I don't know if he's on Instagram or not, but he don't do a lot of social media. He's a private person, and maybe Dan is thinking about Clayface, or has turned down Clayface, and he'd rather the public not know that he's been approached by it. And that might be why James, is trying to deny it. But at the same time, Gunn and DC Studios could have leaked the name of Daniel Radcliffe on purpose to create hype, because this is what they're all about. They're obsessed with hype. And this is the problem. All the leaks you're seeing, I believe, are coming from them. It's old school hype, right? You leak a name, you leak a story, then you deny it to make it sound all exciting, and I'm James Gunn and I'm telling you that this is not true. James Gunn talks too much, and what Jeff Sneider has done here, he's identified that he talks too much. I'm going to tell you why James Gunn talks so much, because he believes it's good hype. And now people are seeing him for what he is. You see, I warned about something else as well. Excuse me. Because when you're working on a Guardians movie, when you're working on Guardians movies, it doesn't really matter. Nobody cares who you're casting. Nobody cares what you're doing. When you're making Suicide Squad or Peacemaker, nobody cares what you're doing. But when you're working on Superman, people care about every decibel of what you're saying and what's going on. And everyone's paying attention, right? And will have an opinion on everything you're doing. It doesn't matter if you think Superman is relevant or not. People care about Superman. He's one of the most famous fictional characters. And you've got to tread carefully when you're writing and directing a Superman movie, and he's not treading carefully. He's doing exactly the same things he's always done. This is not the MCU. This is Superman, James, and there lies the problem. Because he's doing the same stuff he's always done, and when it comes to Superman, you simply cannot do that. And now someone like Jeff Sneider is absolutely boxing him in and exposing him, and one of the worst things you can't do. Because does this mean that Superman's going to be a bad movie? Of course not. It could still be a great movie. None of us know that. But James Gunn is losing the narrative. When he came out and said that Henry Cavill wouldn't be his Superman, and Snyder fans went after him, and they haven't stopped to this day, did I ever think that they would expose him so badly? No, I didn't. But he's making their jobs easier for them. All the stuff that Snyder fans are saying and exposing is coming out of his very mouth. Now, yesterday, clearly a reaction from being exposed by Jeff Sneider, he revealed this picture of David Corenswet in the costume, but he focuses on Superman's boots. Nothing wrong with that. The boots look good. It's when they were in that country, which I can't pronounce. It's that Arctic country when they're doing the snow, and obviously they were shooting Fortress of Solitude stuff, exterior stuff. Now, very interestingly as well, David Corenswet has been doing an interview with Esquire, and there's been some quotes. I think these quotes have been released by Gunn Say So because of Jeff Sneider, because of all the negativity, because people were not happy with the Lanterns promo pic. People, again, saying what I said ages ago about Lanterns, this is simply not the way to go after a Green Lantern adaptation. And because of that, and because of Sneider, what they're doing now, they're trying to create some positive hype again. Simply not working. But this is what David Corenswet has had to say. David Corenswet on James Gunn's Superman. James Gunn has a tremendous imagination. I'm only here to deliver the lines he's written. It's a very particular vision, spiced up with some wonderful elements and performances. I hope I measure up to it in the audience's eyes. Some people have criticised Dave for saying, I'm just here to, to read the lines. He doesn't mean that literally, by the way. He's an actor. He's delivering on what James Gunn wants him to do, and that's what he's attempting to say. Nothing wrong with that. David Corenswet on taking inspiration from Harrison Ford to play Superman. In times of doubt, I'd ask myself, how would Harrison Ford say this? It may sound like a lie, but it's pretty useful to make important choices in my day-to-day life. David Corenswet on the importance of Clark Kent. Sometimes it can be difficult to separate reality from fiction. Clark Kent is a journalist, represents the pursuit of truth, and I think that's something we should all prioritise as citizens, especially in today's world. Yeah, well said. David Corenswet on being criticised for taking on the role of Superman. I don't take it personally. I see it as something to learn from, and all actors have to accept that for what it is, to grow professionally. And they're his quotes. And yeah, actors have been criticised for taking up roles like Superman for years. It's not a serious role. Well, Christopher Reeve taking it and doing so well with it actually brought respect to Superman. But, George Reeves brought respect to Superman as well. Everyone who's played Superman has brought respect to the role. To la-di-da actors who look down on these things, it may be a silly thing to do. You could get typecast, I understand. But this is a guy, what I will say about David, and I don't connect him to James Gunn with the negativity, David loves Superman. He's always petitioned to play Superman. He's a fan casting. The main reason he was cast, he's a very good actor, but I also think he was cast because the fans had wanted him to be cast for years, and James Gunn thought it was a good idea to cast someone that the fans wanted. Very, very interesting. Because every Superman live-action adaptation, whether on television or film, has had a distinct vision to it. Whether it's the George Reeves version, whether it's the serials, whether it's Superman 78, Donner and Mankiewicz had a vision for Superman 78. They had a vision for Superman 2. Richard Lester had a vision for Superman 3. Christopher Reeve had a vision for Superman 4. Brian Singer had a vision for Superman Returns. They had a vision for the Dean Cain, Terry Hatcher, Lois and Clark New Adventures of Superman show. Gotham Miller had a vision, a pre-Superman vision for Smallville, an outstanding one. Todd Helbing had an outstanding new vision for Superman and Lois. Everyone, and My Adventures with Superman, the animated series, there's a different kind of vision for it. And that's great. But does James Gunn have a vision, as David is suggesting, for Superman, or is it just a checkbox of Superman's greatest hits? One thing's for sure, no one is going to influence me. I have to call out and critique what I'm seeing, talk about the positives and the negatives and the red flags I'm seeing within the DCU and this Superman movie. But no one's going to influence me, my opinion on a movie, before I've seen it. July the 11th for me can't come soon enough. I will go and watch that movie and judge it on its merits. There is no question about that. I'm here for the DCU. I want it to be good. We will see. I'm here for this Superman movie. I love Superman. But ultimately, we all must judge this movie on its merits.